Something just happened with George Strait, and fans are struggling to believe it's real. The man known as the King of Country has always kept his life private, but this latest update has everyone talking, and not in a good way. What started as whispers quickly turned into a wave of concern across the country music world. And now the truth is out. But what exactly happened? And why are so many fans calling this his most heartbreaking moment yet? It was supposed to be just another unforgettable night on George Strait's tour. Thousands of fans had gathered in Philadelphia, ready to hear the King of Country deliver his timeless hits. But when he stepped up to the mic and began performing, "I'll Always Remember You," something changed. The song has always carried emotional weight, but this time, Strait's voice cracked mid-sentence. And then, almost casually, he said it. He might only have 5 good years left. The crowd fell silent. You could feel the shift in energy. What started as a celebration quickly turned into a collective moment of heartbreak. Some fans in the front rows visibly broke down in tears. Others stood frozen, not sure if what they just heard was real. George Strait has never been one to speak dramatically or court headlines, so this rare moment of vulnerability hit like a punch to the gut. Almost instantly, speculation began to swirl. Was he talking about retiring from music altogether? Was it a subtle hint about his health? Fans flooded social media with clips of the moment, and while some hoped it was just a reflective comment about time and aging, others weren't so sure. After all, George Strait has spent the better part of 5 decades on stage, and at 72, he's earned the right to step away whenever he chooses. But for those who've grown up with his music or watched their own lives unfold to the soundtrack of his songs, the idea that this could be the beginning of the end was hard to process. And maybe that was the point. George wasn't just singing another song. He was telling a deeper truth, one that hit home for anyone who's ever watched a legend fade from the spotlight. In that one unscripted comment, he reminded everyone that even icons aren't immune to time. But it wasn't just the words. It was how he said them. Strait didn't cry. He didn't milk the moment. In true cowboy fashion, he let the silence do the talking. And that made it even more powerful. No big announcement. No farewell press tour. Just a passing comment in the middle of a heartfelt song, left hanging in the air for his fans to absorb. Some took it as a warning, a soft goodbye masked by a love song. Others dismissed it as nothing more than a personal reflection. But regardless of how you interpret, one thing is clear. George Strait knows his time on stage is precious, and he's choosing to spend it with the people who've been with him from the start. But just when fans thought that moment would define the year, he went and did something that left the entire country music industry stunned. If anyone thought George Strait was slowing down, what happened on June 15th, 2024, proved otherwise. That night at Kyle Field in College Station, Texas, he didn't just perform, he made history. In front of 110,905 fans, Strait pulled off something no artist in U.S. history had ever done. The largest ticketed concert attendance for a single show. And it wasn't some overproduced spectacle with pyrotechnics and distractions. It was George Strait, a guitar, and a lifetime of songs that brought more than 100,000 people together in one place. What's even more mind-blowing is that the record he broke wasn't set by a pop star, a rap icon, or even a festival. It was his alone. No gimmicks, no auto-tune. Just pure country music and the kind of loyalty most artists only dream about. Fans flew in from all across the country. Some even camped out for days just to get a spot close to the stage. For them, this wasn't just another concert. It was a pilgrimage. The crowd spanned generations. Teens standing next to their grandparents. Entire families singing along to Amarillo by Morning like it was a national anthem. And as George stood there under the Texas sky, it felt like a full-circle moment. The same man who got a start in dive bars and rodeo arenas was now performing to a sea of people in his home state, bigger than anyone had ever done before. And here's the part that really hit fans. Strait didn't treat the moment like a victory lap. He stayed humble. He barely even acknowledged the record during the show, letting the music do all the talking. That's classic George. No self-promotion, no ego, just a quiet awareness that this night meant something bigger than numbers. It was a testament to staying true to yourself in an industry obsessed with change. For many fans, this concert felt like both a celebration and a farewell. Especially after the emotional moment in Philadelphia just weeks earlier, there was a sense that this might be one of the last times they'd see the King of Country on this kind of stage. And while George didn't say anything about retiring that night, the magnitude of the event left people wondering, was this his way of saying goodbye on a high note? Social media lit up immediately. Footage from the concert flooded every platform, and even those who couldn't be there felt like they were part of something historic. Major outlets covered it the next day, and artists across genres paid tribute to Strait's legacy. Still, the man himself remained quiet. No interviews, no statements. Just another show on the calendar. But fans knew better. This wasn't just a show. It was a message. And just when you thought George had given everything he had, he dropped something no one saw coming. Just when fans thought George Strait might be easing toward retirement, he did something that left everyone stunned. On September 6, 2024, without any flashy promotion or cryptic countdowns, Strait released a brand new studio album titled Cowboys and Dreamers. No teaser trailers, no talk show appearances, just a quiet announcement. And then boom, the full project dropped. The album, his 31st, was anything but a nostalgic rehash. It hit like a love letter to the roots of country music, but with the emotional weight of a man who's seen the highs and lows of life and career. Cowboys and Dreamers isn't just a clever title. It captures the duality of George Strait himself. On one hand, the cowboy who stuck to his values, never swayed by trends. On the other, the dreamer who built an empire through music, resilience, and relentless work. One track in particular grabbed everyone's attention, MIA Down in MIA, a haunting, steel guitar-heavy ballad that dives into themes of loss, fading love, and the kind of regret that lingers long after the last chorus fades. Fans immediately speculated whether the song was personal. Some wondered if it hinted at someone Strait had lost. Others heard echoes of his late daughter Jennifer, who tragically passed away in 1986. Though Strait rarely speaks about it publicly, the emotional weight of the song made it one of the most streamed country tracks of the month. But this album wasn't just about pain. It was about legacy. Several songs paid tribute to past collaborators, including his longtime manager Woolsey, who passed away earlier in 2024. In interviews that followed, musicians close to Strait revealed that this album was deeply personal, a project he'd been quietly working on while the world speculated about his future. Critics were quick to praise it. Billboard called it a masterclass in restraint and soul. Rolling Stone said it was proof that George Strait still writes like he's got something to prove. And the fans? They went wild. Within 48 hours, Cowboys and Dreamers climbed to the top of the country charts and even cracked the top 10 on the overall Billboard 200. No easy feat for a traditional country album in the age of algorithm-driven streaming. What struck listeners most wasn't just the music. It was the honesty. Strait didn't try to chase trends or appeal to younger audiences. Instead, he leaned all the way into his sound. Simple, poetic, real. And that's exactly why it worked. In an era where artists are constantly reinventing themselves to stay relevant, Strait proved that staying the same can be the boldest move of all. The surprise album gave fans hope. Maybe this wasn't the end after all. Maybe George still had more to say. But as listeners absorbed the music, questions lingered. Why did he release it so quietly? And more importantly, why was his next tour shorter than anyone expected? After the surprise drop of Cowboys and Dreamers, fans were buzzing with hope that George Strait might launch a full-scale tour to promote the album. But when the 2025 tour dates were announced, the excitement quickly turned into confusion. Yes, he was touring. Yes, he was bringing out heavyweights like Chris Stapleton, Parker McCullum, and Little Big Town. But the real shocker? The tour was short, just a handful of dates. And even more surprising, no stops in Texas. For a man known as the King of Country and practically worshipped in his home state, skipping Texas felt personal. Fans from Houston to Lubbock were stunned. This was the same artist who once did a Cowboy Rides Away tour with multiple Texas stops as a farewell. So why the sudden pivot? Some speculated it was a strategic move. Keep the shows rare and exclusive to build demand. Others wondered if Strait's earlier comment about 5 good years was a clue that his touring stamina just isn't what it used to be. A full countrywide tour may no longer be in the cards. These shows were going to be special, yes, but also limited, and that scarcity changed everything. Every ticket release became a war zone. Websites crashed. Resellers swooped in within seconds. Fans posted heartbreak stories across social media, with some even offering thousands of dollars for a seat. It wasn't just about hearing the hits. It was about being part of what many believed could be the last tour of its kind. The shows themselves, while fewer, were unforgettable. Strait played to massive stadiums, often opening with nostalgic deep cuts before rolling into classics like Check Yes or No and The Chair. Chris Stapleton, one of the few artists today with enough vocal power to hold his own next to Strait, shared the stage in a way that felt less like an opener and more like a symbolic passing of the torch. Their duet on You Look So Good in Love had fans openly crying in the stands. And yet, that Texas-sized absence lingered. Interviewers asked about it. Strait, in his usual reserved fashion, didn't offer much. "We'll see," he told one reporter. "I still love playing in Texas." But there was no firm commitment, no promises. That silence only fueled more rumors. Was he quietly stepping back? Was this really the beginning of the end for George Strait live performances? Or was he planning something bigger back home that hadn't been revealed yet? Whatever the case, this shorter, punchier tour, delivered with no frills and maximum heart, only added to the mystery surrounding him. And if fans thought they had it all figured out, the next moment would catch them even more off guard, because George Strait didn't just go back into hiding after the tour. He walked straight into a Dairy Queen and reminded everyone why he's still the most down-to-earth legend in music. You wouldn't expect to see one of the biggest names in country music standing in line at a Dairy Queen. But that's exactly what happened in April 2025, when George Strait casually strolled into a DQ in Cotulla, Texas, the same small town where he spent part of his youth, and ordered a burger like any regular guy. No entourage, no cameras, no warning. Just George, in a ball cap and jeans, waiting patiently for his number to be called. The moment wasn't planned. According to the staff working that day, he walked in like anyone else. It took a second for the employees to even realize who he was. Then came the whispers. Is that really George Strait? And once word got out, the whole store turned into a frenzy. But instead of leaving or brushing people off, Strait smiled, posed for selfies, and chatted with fans like it was nothing. It wasn't just a feel-good moment. It was a reminder of why George Strait has always stood apart. Not just as a performer, but as a person. In a time when celebrities often feel distant, curated, or out of reach, here was a man who just broken records, released a chart-topping album, and sold out stadiums, standing in a fast food joint, shaking hands with fans. Photos from the visit quickly went viral. One particularly heartwarming picture showed Strait with an elderly couple who'd driven nearly 2 hours to see him play years ago. Another showed a young boy holding his Blizzard in one hand and a signed napkin in the other. No PR team orchestrated it. No social media campaign hyped it up, and that's exactly why it resonated. But this wasn't the first time Strait had done something like this. Throughout his career, he's made quiet appearances in small-town spots, never drawing attention to himself. He's not chasing fame. He never was. That's always been the paradox of George Strait. He's one of the most famous musicians alive, and yet he still somehow feels like the guy next door. And this visit came at the perfect time. After a whirlwind year of emotional confessions, surprise albums, and record-breaking concerts, fans were hungry for reassurance. Was George still the same? Did the fame and mystery change him? The Dairy Queen moment gave him the answer. Absolutely not. Despite all the headlines, despite the industry reverence, George Strait hadn't changed a bit. He still valued small-town roots over red carpets, real conversations over big interviews, and, apparently, a good cheeseburger over five-star cuisine. For fans who had spent months watching their icon dominate stages and disappear into the shadows, this random drop-in was a grounding moment. It was like watching a legend return to where it all started, if only for a brief moment. But behind that friendly smile and hometown stop, deeper questions still lingered. The rumors online were only growing louder, because despite the public appearances, Some fans feared something much darker was hiding beneath the surface. Despite George Strait's calm demeanor and that now legendary Dairy Queen visit, a different narrative was beginning to take shape, one far more unsettling. Whispers started circulating in fan forums, country music blogs, and even backstage among insiders. Was George Strait quietly battling a serious health issue? It started subtly. A few die-hard fans noticed his gait during performances looked slightly stiffer than usual. Some swore his voice had lost a bit of its power, especially during the higher registers of classics like The Chair. During interviews, he appeared more reserved, more tired, maybe even distracted. And then there was that offhand remark in Philadelphia. 5 good years left. At the time, it seemed reflective. But now, people were asking, was he trying to tell us something? The speculation grew when a few scheduled radio appearances were abruptly canceled without explanation. George's team gave standard reasons, scheduling conflicts, travel adjustments, but to those paying attention, it fell off. This was a man known for his professionalism. He doesn't miss commitments without good reason. Fans who traveled to see him were left disappointed and confused. Was it just bad timing or something deeper? Then came the TMZ-style headlines. Sources claimed George Strait being treated privately for ongoing health issues. Strait family reportedly concerned about energy levels. Of course, no official confirmation followed. And in typical George Strait fashion, he offered no response at all. No denial. No clarification. Just silence. That silence spoke volumes. To make matters more tense, longtime friend and country legend Alan Jackson, who has publicly acknowledged his own health struggles, posted a cryptic message on Instagram. Cherish every show, every song. You never know when it'll be the last time. No name was mentioned, but the country music community immediately connected the dots. Jackson and Strait have toured together, recorded together, and maintained a tight friendship for years. Was this a warning? A tribute? A subtle goodbye? Fueling the speculation, an anonymous insider from Strait's tour crew allegedly told a Nashville blogger that George was dealing with something serious, but wanted to finish out his final shows on his own terms. That comment spread like wildfire, even as others rushed to deny it. Fans were split. Some refused to believe the rumors, pointing to his stadium shows and new album as proof that he was still in full control. Others were more realistic, noting that George Strait had always kept personal matters close to the chest. If something was going on, he wouldn't broadcast it. Still, one uncomfortable truth remained. George Strait is 72. He's outlasted most of his peers, and no one, not even the king of country, is invincible. And if these rumors were true, they raised one chilling question. Was everything we'd seen over the past year, his comet, his short tour, his surprise album, even that humble visit back to Kitula, a carefully orchestrated farewell? The next move would either silence the rumors or confirm everyone's worst fears. Just when speculation about George Strait's health hit its peak, something unexpected happened. On May 27, 2025, his 72nd birthday, George posted a short, cryptic message to his social media accounts. No flashy graphics, no photos, just a black and white image of an empty stage with a single spotlight and these 5 words. Time's been good to me. That was it. No caption, no link, no follow-up. And yet, within hours, it went viral. Fans, fellow musicians, and media outlets scrambled to decode the meaning. Was it a thank you, a subtle farewell, or something more symbolic? An acknowledgement that his time in the spotlight was winding down? What made the message even more powerful was its simplicity. For a man who spent decades letting his music speak for him, this sparse post felt incredibly on-brand and deeply emotional. It was like a curtain call without applause, a bow without fanfare. The reactions poured in. Country stars from Garth Brooks to Lainey Wilson posted heartfelt tributes. Garth wrote, "If this is the end, it's been the honor of a lifetime watching him do it his way." Reba McEntire commented, "The King said it best. He gave us everything." Even mainstream artists from outside the genre shared memories of listening to Strait's music growing up, underscoring just how far his reach really goes. Fans, of course, were devastated. Many feared the worst. Was this George's way of saying goodbye before something tragic was revealed? Others clung to hope that it was simply a reflection on a milestone birthday, not a farewell, just a moment of gratitude. And then came an update from George's team days later. A short press release stated that George would not be doing any interviews for the foreseeable future and that no further shows were scheduled after the final 2025 dates. It didn't confirm anything, but it didn't deny the rumors either. As of now, the mystery remains. What we do know is this: George Strait has spent more than 4 decades doing something almost no one else has managed, staying true to himself while reaching the absolute peak of fame. No scandals, no reinventions, just timeless music and quiet resilience. And whether or not this truly is the end of the road, he's managed to craft an exit as gracefully as he lived his career, with class, mystery, and total control. Fans around the world continue to replay his music, buy tickets to every remaining show, and hold on to hope that the King of Country still has a few more surprises up his sleeve. But if this really is the end, it's one of the most powerful exits country music has ever seen. Because George Strait didn't just walk away. He rode off into the sunset, just like the cowboy he's always been. And that's the story, for now at least. Whether George Strait is quietly stepping away or simply taking a well-earned break, one thing's for sure: his legacy is untouchable. Few artists have moved millions without ever needing the spotlight, and even fewer can disappear with such grace that the silence says more than words ever could. If this video gave you a new perspective on the King of Country, go ahead and hit that like button. It really helps us out. And if you want more stories about music legends, behind-the-scenes drama, and the untold truths that rarely make the headlines, make sure to subscribe and turn on those notifications. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.